And Azikwe advised Sardauna of Sokoto that the two of them should forget their differences. In other words, he was asking Sardauna to come to agreement with him to forget about the differences of Nigerians. But Sardauna of Sokoto reminded him that it is impossible for us to forget our differences. And he put it to him, you are Igbo, Easterner, and a Christian. I am Fulani, Muslim, and Northerner. We have differences. These differences should be discussed. Unfortunately, in 1964, we failed to discuss our differences. We have several Nigerians today saying we should not hold a conference. Let's not discuss our differences. The differences will go away. But the president's speech actually called our attention to the danger of sweeping our problems under the carpet. And I think that aspect of his speech attracted my academic attention. And we are saying that what the president is trying to do is to create a new Nigeria. Because the opportunity that was missed in 1964 was that we refused to discuss. Now we are here to do this discussion. In 1964, issues of census were raised. Issues of transparent election was raised. Awolowo was sent to prison. We were to hold the 1965 elections, and we had as many crises as we are now having, just as if we are preparing for 2015 elections. But we decided to sweep all these problems under the carpet. By the time Aburi, it was too late for us to dialogue. And of course, the Aburi dialogue took place in Ghana and not in Nigeria. So, I want to really commend the president for making it possible for us to discuss. This is a wonderful opportunity. If we miss it, in the year 2065, when we will be having another 50 years, because we missed the first 50 years, this is another 50 years. By the time we miss the next 50 years, I don't think the opportunity will be for us to sit together to discuss Nigeria. But we want to ask ourselves, what are the issues? Yesterday, we were shown the constitution of China. I was in China. We discussed that constitution. I was in America. We discussed that constitution. We discussed it not only at meetings. I taught it in the classroom. But the problem is that if you bring the best constitution in the world to Nigeria, this country will destroy it in 2 days. Meaning that what we need to do is to experience what is technically referred to as actor transformation. All of us must change.
Thank you. Haji Ashitu Alpha.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates. I would like to start with the president's speech, where he said that this conference is coming at an appropriate time, having just celebrated our 100 years of together as one political entity. I say here, we have to know where we are coming from to know where we are going. Our leaders of yesterday have laid a very strong foundation. And that is why when Mr. President said, we have experienced highs and lows in this country, we have stormed all weathers, and we are still strong and together after 100 years. As Mr. President also acknowledged that in a truly democratic nation, views that are loudly expressed by the majority will never be ignored and must not be ignored. We are lucky that we have a president that has a listening ears. And because he said sovereignty belongs to the people, I also want to say, I want to refer to page 18, where the president said that, page 18, where he said that, he said, I am quite worried when I hear people say that many participants in this national conference are coming here to defend and promote ethnic or clanist agenda. It is very regrettable that there are persons who believe that we cannot undertake any collective task in our country without hindrance of ethnic rivalry even after 100 years of nationhood. I want to pause here. I want to add us here, esteemed delegates, that whatever community we find ourselves, we should approach it with open mind. When we should think of Nigeria as the first thing, because he also said that there must be a winner, and that winner must be Nigeria. And Mr. President also said at the end that, okay, I'll say that. The honorable guests, this honorable gathering of delegates is on behalf of 160 million Nigerians. So what I'm saying here is that at the end, whatever decisions we reach, by implication, it is going to be effectively accepted by 160 million Nigerians. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hajia. The next speaker is, well, I'm not sure whether it is Hajia or Alaji, so forgive me. Amuna Lawan Ali. Hajia, thank you.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, I don't have initials, so anyone who calls me Hajia will have to pay for my ticket to go. My Lord, my colleagues, I join many others who have spoken earlier on Mr. President's very powerful, compelling, and impressive address. And I concur with some of my colleagues in saying that this is the best we have heard from the President so far. Here I want to lend my voice to the appeal that Mr. President made in requesting delegates to approach issues and each other unsuspiciously. The fact of the matter is that we allow our biases and many differences to divide us and influence our sense of rationality in deliberations. We, the elites, tend to employ such issues like religion and ethnicity in furtherance of our selfish interests. We are told that the average age in this room is between 65 and 70. I said average. I ask each and every one, what is it that we have not seen or done that we are yet to see or do in the rest of our years? I therefore join the statement made by Chief Dora that we should plant the trees that will provide shade for the next generations. Therefore, I urge that we employ effective communication based on objective reasoning, fairness, compromise, and tolerance. And until we do that, this conference cannot possibly succeed. We cannot improve our education system, health, or any other thing, except if we are truthful, honest, and rational in our deliberations. So that is the key to any success that can be maintained or can be achieved during this conference. I believe that this is the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed first and foremost before we take any step. So let us truly relaunch Nigeria for our children, grandchildren, and those yet to be born. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the brevity of the contribution. I volunteer to pay for the ticket. Dr. Adamu Aliyu, Colonel retired.
Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished delegates, just come in, but I will make a little contribution to the debate. The president's speech definitely is the guiding principle for this gathering. That speech came from the heart of a president that loves Nigeria, from the heart of a president that wants Nigeria to remain united, indissoluble. We must first put Nigeria in the front burner in anything we are doing. If you remember this country amalgamation, we came together as a nation and we managed our affairs as 3 regions: Eastern region, Northern region, Western region. Northern region had 12 provinces. The Southern region together had 12 provinces. But the plebiscite, the Cameroon plebiscite in 1962, Nigeria gained Northern Cameroon. They voted to stay with Nigeria. So Northern region had 13 provinces. That was the Sardauna province. That relativity must always be kept in mind when we are thinking of creating states, local governments, and all these things. We know that for certain today, the old Eastern region has more than 11 states to itself. The region that didn't have as much is the West. The North put together has 19. So, that relativity started from early on. Just as the population relativity, where at amalgamation, Northern region had 9-point-something million, Southern Nigeria had 8-point-something million. At that time, minus Cameroon. And that Northern region, that's the only region where there's no limit to the number of wives. So the population cannot diminish. So it's a fabrication when people think that figures are being inflated in the North. Let us stop all this useless pedanticism. It will carry us nowhere in this country. We must remember that as a nation, we came together to live together in harmony. And that we must achieve. Our youth here have warned us that many of us have spent our time. But I want to remind them that the good Lord created the world for a day-year-old child, for a 50-year-old man, a 100-year-old man, and woman to live on this earth that he created. So you can't wish away one, or we cannot wish you away, because you are our children. Was that bell for me?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right. Order, please. Order, please. His Excellency Governor Adamu Aliyu.
Mr. Chairman, fellow delegates, Let me start by joining my colleagues in commending Mr. President for delivering an excellent speech in the inaugural address. It is in that speech it is quite clear that the corporate existence of Nigeria is not negotiable. He made it very clear to us that we should avoid all divisive tendencies. We should think only about Nigeria. We should only talk about national interests. We should not discuss anything that will divide us. It is also very clear that the indivisibility and indissolubility of Nigeria is a no-go area during the discussion in this conference. Having said that, let me go straight to the issues that will preoccupy us whenever we go into committee stage. In the present speech, page 16, page 16, this conference is open for us to table our thoughts and positions on issues and make recommendations that will advance our togetherness. The issues range from form of government, structure of government, devolution of powers, revenue sharing, resource control, state creation, state police, fiscal federalism, indigenship, gender equality, local government creation. Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, these are the very issues that will certainly form the basis of our discussion at the committee stage. And I want to pick one of them, devolution of powers. It is the considered opinion of most members of this conference that there is too much power concentrated at the center, to the extent that what the local government is supposed to do and what the state government is supposed to do is now being done by federal government. Therefore, I will strongly suggest that power should devolve from the federal to the state and the local government. And in devolving these powers, we must also make sure that we give matching funds to the state and the local government in order to perform those functions that were hitherto being performed by the federal government. In particular, I will suggest that at the committee stage, we discuss issues of agriculture, issues of education, issues of health, issues of environmental sanitation. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, in order for us to have a balanced federation, we must do all we can to ensure that the mineral resources that are virtually available in every state of the federation should be explored, so that each state of the federation will have something to contribute to the center. By so doing, we will have a balanced federation. All these issues of resource control, revenue allocation will cease to exist. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The next speaker is Alhaji Abdullahi Ali Kano. Alhaji Abdullahi Ali Kano. Ambassador Adamu Aliyu.
My Lord the Chairman, I'm Ambassador Adamu Aliyu, a former Secretary to the Government and Head of Service of Bauchi State, representing Northeastern State. I would like to join all my colleagues in extending appreciation to His Excellency the President for a very monumental speech to this country. It is monumental because he has not given any hidden agenda. Everything is on the table for us to examine and do well. Mr. Chairman, my humble view has placed a challenge before all of us. On page 19 of his speech, where the President said, I expect that as persons of integrity and honor, you will do nothing in this conference that will undermine our efforts and desire to build a truly great nation. I also expect that your discussions will be informed only by the noblest of instincts and persuasions. Mr. Chairman, as somebody who has spent over 40 years of my life station, I would like to humbly say our basic problem in this country is that of system and structural failures. Structural failures, we are in a situation where the various structures established are not working well. States and local governments have been created to function, but unfortunately, the third tier of government has virtually been erased. State governments have taken over control of the resources of local governments. And the civil service, which I had the privilege to head, are not allowed to function. A situation has been reached whereby civil service commissions cannot advertise positions or vacancies until they make a reference to His Excellency the Governor. It's unfortunate. System failure, whereby every facet of life of the civil service, of the public service of this country is complaint and complaint of failures of structures. Just a minute ago, a retired AIG has mentioned failure of even basic equipments for the police to work. It's not only the police, virtually every system in this country is finding it difficult. Something is wrong with our budgetary system to the extent that trivialities are being given emphasis against very serious efforts of development. Mr. Chairman, the President has placed a challenge before our doorsteps, and I think it is absolutely necessary during this conference for us to look at how we can restructure the system. One vital point that has really brought the collapse of the system is the issue of immunity clause in our Constitution. You here find a situation, a public officer will do all the harm and bad deeds only simply because he knows he is immune to any challenge before the court. This immunity clause, Mr. Chairman, must be rescinded in our new Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Justice Balkisu Bello Aliyu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Balkisu Bello Aliyu. I am a judge of the Federal High Court, but in this conference, I am a delegate from Zamfara State. The President's speech spelled out what are the terms of reference for this national conference, and from his speech, I identify 4. We are here to strengthen the national unity, consolidate democratic governance, build more inclusive national consensus for the future of our country, and engage in introspection about the political and socio-economic challenges confronting us as a nation, and chart the best and acceptable way for the resolution of such challenges in our collective interest. In his entire speech, Mr. President urged us to find both short-term and long-term solutions to the stated challenges facing our nation. For Mr. President asked us to envisage where we want our country to be in the next 100 years. And so, fellow delegates, whatever issues of these challenges we discuss in our work plan, let us find solution for both short-term and long-term to such challenges. That is, we must have at the back of our mind where we want our nation to be in the next 50 to 100 years for posterity. Countries, if you refer to countries that are more advanced than us, they always look ahead and make plans for years to come. Distinguished delegates, we have now been given the opportunity to make a difference and move our nation forward. We are very passionate people. Nigerians are very passionate people. And I urge us to channel that passion towards the love of our country with determination to get it right this time. I am positive that we can. Mr. President believes we can, and so we must not fail. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my lord. I'm going to make the most of these 3 months. The only time I will remain seated while a judge remains standing, and then I have the power to ask a judge to sit down. Thank you. Mr. Steve Aluko.
Steve Aluko Daniel is the name. Civil society. I think first and foremost I want to say that we are all victims. We must accept that we are all victims even from the speech of the president. We are a victim but of different mind and of different level. The level of our vulnerability may be different, but we must accept one basic fact that we are all victims. Because in a nation where we cannot protect life and property, in a nation where we cannot have the best sphere of life, I think we must accept that we are all victims. Moving from that one, I also want to say that a fundamental question we must resolve in this national conference is the issue of leadership. The issue of leadership is key because leadership also determines the programs, the philosophy, and the ideology that governs the country. So one thing we must also set in this conference is that we must get the right mind for our leadership in this country. And like David told Solomon when he was about to die, he said, they that must rule must be just, fear, and rule in the fear of God. And this position I want to challenge Nigerians from the First Republic today. How many of our leaders are fear to us? How many of our leaders are just? And how many of our leaders have ruled with the fear of God? Going beyond this, I also want to say that the picture of Nigeria is not far-fetched from the picture that is painted in the book of Nehemiah chapter 1. It is very clear that the situation of Israel was so bad that Nehemiah said that when he got the report from his fellow comrade that came to visit, that the gates were set on fire, the walls were broken, the graves were desecrated, and above all, the people were living in reproach and abject affliction. And I think this is the position of Nigeria today. I said we want to deceive ourselves. And going beyond that, I also learned from that scriptures that the letters that the president have read to us, Nigeria have never been short of good letters, have never been short of good figures or situations. But the problem has been the lack of will, the lack of political mindset of somebody pushing the agenda beyond individual and selfish interests. And I want to proceed also from that book of Nehemiah that the person that brought the report, how did he escape from the land to bring that report to Nehemiah in the palace? And I also want to see the response of Nehemiah, and I think that is where the beauty of this conference comes to fore. It's not just lamenting. It is going beyond lamentation to find solution. And I think this is the example that Nehemiah pushed to every one of us that is here. People have argued that they are distinguished or honorable. What will make this conference honorable or distinguished? It is what will come out of this conference.